Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Season Ticket Holders. I'm your host, Dane Lillingston, and I have a favourite son of the show returning today. He was the inaugural guest on Season Ticket Holders, a super coach extraordinaire and passionate, long-time Brisbane Broncos member, Aidan Mathews. Welcome back to the show, mate. How are you?
Hey, Dane. It's good to be back. Super coach extraordinaire. I'm not sure. I think I'm like 30,000th ranked, but I'm in semi-finals for draft, so that's all that matters.
And no one cares about draft. I'm in the top 10,000 for regular, which is what people care about. I'm in 2 preliminary finals in my money league, so I'll take that. Aidan, I wanted to get you on. You touched base with me. I like the idea. You wanted to have your rant, your Brisbane Broncos fan rant. I feel you. We all feel your pain. Obviously, we all know 19-year Premiership drought broken last year with Michael Maguire. We were all quietly confident, right? Heading into this year, we could back it up, or at the very least be in the top 4, make some prelim finals again. That's what we all thought heading into this year. Instead, they're now a mathematical chance of winning the wooden spoon. Aidan, lay it on me thick. You've already made a graphic here. I'll have a look at that soon. Give me your main reason why the Brisbane Broncos are bombed out in 2026.
I think the main reason is Madge, unfortunately. I was excited, as a lot of Broncos fans were, coming into this year, because I think last year we actually played pretty poorly. But we went on that golden run where we just comeback after comeback, Reece Walsh magic, greatest run of all time. We won the Premiership. Glory. So good. And I was like, okay, next year, like as in this year, we can actually play good, go on the back of that. It's just been a shit show from the start, to be honest. From Payne Haas saying he's going to leave after a couple months earlier saying he wants to be a Bronco for life. Then Ben Teo leaving like 2 weeks into the season. So something's gone wrong. Like, is it the Trent Barrett effect again? How he always gets people sacked, or is it just Madge being hard to deal with? Like, if you believe media reports, obviously you're in the media, so you probably do. So
Yes.
last year when we turned it on, that was after the team senior players went to Madge to tell him to pull it back a bit. So when we actually played good, was that when Madge had less coaching or less say on the team? Like, I don't know, but yeah, it hasn't been a good year.
Went to Manly, had a few beers, turned their whole season around. We all know the story from last year. Mate, let's go through a bit of a timeline. I've been trying to piece it together the last few days. I'm coming from a week and a half off, so I missed a lot of news. And I'm going to tell you right now, I didn't even watch the Broncos-New Zealand game for the first time live this season because I can't be bothered planning my weekends around watching this team anymore. They're going that bad. Now, timeline. Let's go all the way back to preseason camp. Now, I don't know if you've read this article. It came out a couple weeks ago. They went to Toowoomba, right? Did 2 weeks away from families. You and I growing up in Brisbane, you still being there, you know it's not that far. What is it, like an hour and a half down the road?
Yep.
But 2 weeks away from families back in January. Apparently the beds weren't even big enough to fit Payne, Haas and Xavier Willison. Now, they are big boys, but it's still not a good sign. They finish it with a 2-day intensive army camp, which isn't irregular, right? Lots of NRL teams do that. But apparently that's when Payne Haas may or may not have blew his lid a little bit, sleeping in a tiny man's bed for 2 weeks and then finishing off with a 2-day army camp. Probably would piss anyone off, right? And then, of course, he announces he's leaving for South before the season even starts. Adam Reynolds confirms his retirement, which is what we thought was coming. The Broncos go to England, lose the World Club Challenge, get pumped by Penrith to start their season, and then Ben Teo walks out as defensive coach after round 3, after they actually did beat Melbourne. It surprised many people. And then now they've only won 1 game since May. They are now 4
That's
points.
bad.
Crazy, right? When you go back and actually look at it, they're now 4 points above bottom place Dragons as of recording this. I made a comment a few weeks ago that said they are a mathematical chance of winning the wooden spoon. People laughed at me at the time. Now it's legit, right? I mean, Dragons are going pretty well. The Broncos look like they couldn't buy a point. And now it's just, what do you say from here? They've got the Raiders away this weekend. Tough game. Host Melbourne, who are getting some troops back, and then finish their season with the Bulldogs fighting for the finals in the final round. I want to ask you, do you think they could actually win the wooden spoon? But also, do you think they'll even win a game for the rest of the year?
I actually think we're going to win this week, but that could just be me being a biased Broncos fan who wants us to win and avoid the spoon, but there is a definite real chance we can get the spoon because Dragons are going well. Their matchups are a lot better than ours. Like we've actually got a tough run. We lost all the games that we should have won against Dragons when they were bad, Titans, like yeah. So there is a chance we can get it, and that would basically, in my mind, cancel out the premiership. Even though like it's so good to have a premiership, but like, dude,
What a turnaround.
rock bottom is the spoon. We should. It almost feels like we're about to go into a rebuild when we should be going into a dynasty. Like this should be our Panthers moment. Like with 2 grand finals in 3 years. Like and now going to nearly getting a spoon. Like it's not good.
And no one saw it coming, right? I mean, we all thought, I think you cast our minds back, that we were the first team to lose to the Dragons, right? We're the ones who sort of kick-started their season. There was those 2 close games middle origin period, which was Dragons and Titans. They end up losing that one, heartbreaking one to the Gold Coast. And then they shock the Penrith and they think, hey, maybe we can pull off this incredible 5-6 straight wins to finish the season, maybe scrape into the finals. And then we've since shown big losses to the Knights. That big loss to the Wars on the weekend has just absolutely obliterated it. Not many teams will be talking about sacking their coach a year after winning a premiership. But the question has to be asked, the way they're playing, the way they're losing, the way Michael Maguire's, the history, the tales of Tiger Town, the way he came in and out of New South Wales and New Zealand. He's had lots of success in short bursts and it doesn't seem to last. We've just seen this time and time again, this narrative that comes out, whether it's media reports, former players, where there's smoke, there's fire, and there's always plenty of noise around Michael Maguire and his tactics. The Payne Haas thing is one you just can't look past. Why would a guy who's just won a premiership, who's considered one of the greatest forwards of all time, who may go down at the end of his career as the greatest prop the rugby league's ever seen, it's 120-year plus history, why would he leave? Why would he go? And at the time he said family, and it did make sense. But what player would really leave a team that we thought was potentially building a dynasty that on paper has arguably the top, best or top 2-3 squads in the NRL? Something's gone wrong there, right? Payne Haas, Michael Maguire, was that just the beginning? We look back now, but that could have been the sliding doors moment. Something's not right there, right?
100%. I think at the time it was very confusing. Everyone was trying to find answers. Like he's saying family, but the family he has left seems to be in Brisbane with him as he's looking after all his brothers and sisters and things like that. So it was very confusing. Now that time's gone past and we've seen how bad we've played and other players seeming to not get along with Michael Maguire as we expected. It kind of makes more sense now, like with everything involved, especially with Tio leaving as well. Like I think that's a big thing because why would you leave a premiership team as
And
a
that's
assistant coach?
that too, like that was Maguire too. Like that is the hard evidence that we have. There's no doubt. The story I was reading a few days ago was that they were at a restaurant. It all came to a head. They weren't agreeing on the defensive styles of the Broncos, and they got into a very heated debate at a restaurant with Broncos staffers. Apparently, everyone left, and it ended up just being Michael Maguire and Ben Teo in the restaurant hashing it out. And a few days later, after that win against Melbourne, he just walks out. A few rounds into the season, coming up a premiership win. If there's any evidence that there's problems with Michael Maguire's tactics, that's it, right?
Yeah, 100%. Because why would you do it? Like you're in a good spot.
You're in a premiership winning team, didn't have the best start to the year, but just couldn't put that aside. And they had history dating back to South, if I'm might be correct. I think they did coach and player back then. But either way, I mean, Ben Teo is known as a bit of a hard man, strong character. But just crazy that so it happened. So Ben Teo, Payne Haas, and then we've seen how it's all played out now. Firstly, I mean, the coach thing, you've made a beautiful graphic. I've just had a look at it. Does Madge need to go? Because the Broncos were absolutely ruthless with Kevy Walters, a favourite son of the club, a club captain, premiership winning player at the club. Everyone loved Kevy, whether you're in the media, whether you're a player. Even opposition fans would have to admit they loved Kevy Walters. The players seemed to love him. At the end of the day, the Broncos board didn't love him enough and he got shown the door. I know you've been a vocal critic of that move, and in hindsight, if Kevy was given one more year, can he still take this roster to a premiership? Could anyone have done the job maybe last year, Michael Maguire, based on the likes of Reece Walsh brilliance and Payne Haas, Paddy Carrigan laying the platform? Talk us about Mike Maguire. Should he be sacked now before we even get to 2027?
I was very anti sacking Kevy because you make a grand final, especially where we came from. We came from a wooden spoon. He inherited a wooden spoon team, built it to a grand final team. You can't sack him a year after, like 12 months after. We did. And then I also had the same mindset with Madge. We won a premiership. We shouldn't sack a coach a year after. But I personally think with Madge, it might just be too far gone. We have there's history with Madge. Every team he's gone to, it's only the success is only short term. It just falls to pieces after. So we've got evidence there to say it's not going to work long term. Also, our team is stacked. We don't need a rebuild. I don't want us to do a rebuild. And with the selections that Madge chooses, like the players he chooses, he loves those like I don't want to say bad players, but like the Queen's Egg Cup, like the gritty players and not the flashy star players that we have. He loves Pakes. He loves Corey Pakes.
I know, and we don't, do we, as Broncos fans?
No, like yes, he's probably good as a backup, but like we have Moser there. He's our future. We had Kobe Black there. He's not our future anymore because Madge decided let's get Pezzett. Like I just think we have to cut ties now, or at least at the end of the year after review, before we start losing more of our future planning. Like we have some good news this week. We re-signed Billy Walters. I was a bit like, obviously, I'm happy it happened. I was a bit surprised, or just I wasn't sure because who knows what Madge wants to do? Like he seems to make these odd decisions. So, but yeah, I think he has to go, and I do think it's harsh because we won the premiership, and I also think maybe Gordon Tallis was right. Maybe maybe anyone could have won the premiership because realistically, look at it. Look at us now. Like like with Kev, yes, we went from wooden spoon, got better, made to grand final. 10 minutes or 15 minutes away, or one decision away from actually winning. And then obviously 2024, injuries, bad year. 2025, instant success for Madge. I do think it's still harsh to fire him, but at the same time, we've done it previously, and there's no evidence to suggest that Madge will work long term.
I was going to say, if it was just like, they just missed the finals or in the fight for the 8, that type of thing, it's a different story, right? But if I'm going back now just through the season and just the way that this has all come about, they had that close win against the Tigers back in round 7, a good win against the Bulldogs in round 8, close against the Roosters in round 9. The crack started to pee, I'd say, in round 10. They got pumped by Manly. I was at that game, 4 Pines Park, 32-4. Then the Wars put 42 points on them in Magic round. They have a bye, and I mentioned those games before. Round 13-14, crucial period in Origin. They lose 2 close games to the Dragons and Titans, who are the fellow bottom 3 teams at the moment.
The
And
dogs
then
mucking around.
yeah, sorry, we've got Woody, special guest at the moment. I may have to put him out in a second. 48 points in that special round for Jai Arrow by the Rabbitohs, 48-6 in round 15. Close losses to the Roosters, Sharks. Win that game against the Panthers. Close derby against the Cowboys. But then in just recent weeks, 36 against the Knights. That's a game that they had to win. Come out and in front of a home crowd in Brisbane. Were you at that game?
Yes, I was.
What's
Yes.
the crowd's been like watching this, mate? Because the Wars have won more games at home than the Broncos in Brisbane this year.
To be fair, because of the amount of Kiwis in Brisbane, like it felt like a Wars home game.
Crazy, right?
Dude, they were doing the like na 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 hey goodbye to Broncos fans leaving.
That's probably the biggest insult in Australian sport that you can get, right?
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
Mate. And then obviously recent weeks, leading, was it 22-0 against the Dolphins early on in that game, Battle of Brisbane, and then absolutely just bottle that to lose 40-32. And then, of course, as we mentioned on the weekend, 40 points against the Wars in front of their home crowd. I noticed they didn't even crack 40,000, which you just said New Zealand has amazing fan support in Suncorp, but really Broncos fans are starting to vote with their feet, right? There's only so much of this crap they can put up with. They've averaged over 40,000, best in the NRL all season. but there's only so many of these results you can put out. I mean, their last 2 home games, they put in 12 points. That's just not going to fly,
Wow.
mate. Doesn't matter how passionate we can be. I'm really worried now. I thought the Raiders game was the game that they could win. I think they might struggle against Melbourne, traditional bogey team, even though they've had a good recent record against them. And then the Bulldogs fighting for their finals in Sydney to finish the season, mate. It's going to be tough. I think the Raiders are going to be their best chance. I don't think they can win the wooden spoon. I don't think Dragons could pull off 3 wins to do it. We talked about Michael Maguire. There's a story this week in News Corp Media, Ezra Mam or Michael Maguire. And I guess it comes back to that point you're trying to make about roster rebuild. And the question I want to know from Michael Maguire is, what's going wrong? Do you actually believe that this squad needs a roster rebuild, or are your tactics not working? Like, which one is the problem? Because like you said, it can't be the roster rebuild. They're losing Payne Haas, but they're getting Mitch Barnett, an Origin quality prop. Sean Bloor, who's going to do a job at least depth-wise in the second row. Dane Gagai on the wrong side of 30, but Origin proven player, nice story. And Jonah Pezzett, bit of an unknown, but again, halves depth. He's going to have a bit to work with. The crazy story there is too, Mitch Barnett apparently thrown up as a captaincy contender. Massive slap in the face to Paddy Carrigan, if that's true, right? Could you believe that if he came in and was just slapped on the captaincy armband straight away?
It wouldn't feel right personally. Like I don't think Paddy's done anything wrong. I think Paddy deserves to be the captain when Renault retires. Like, yeah, I just don't think we should be rebuilding. And unfortunately, I think Madge, you got Puppy with you?
So I've had to bring Woody. He's causing a muck with Mum away. Continue, mate. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just saying, like, I think it is a bit of a slap in the face to Paddy. I don't think he's done anything wrong. I think he deserves to be our captain once Renault retires. It's there's just weird things happening, weird choices. It just seems like, personally, this bit of a conspiracy, but it just seems like Madge just wants to do things his way, where anything that was built or any planning that was done prior to him arriving is just thrown out the window. And it's showing that with Kobe Black. It's showing that with potentially Paddy not getting the captaincy. Like, just really odd decisions.
But that would be insane, right? If like Paddy's been long anointed as this captain, he's been there through thick and thin. The story I remember about him was, remember all those wooden spoons were thrown into the Broncos training grounds back in 2020? He actually kept one of those wooden spoons as a reminder. I asked him about it on a fan day once and he shut me down and said, how the hell did you know that? Little inside source for me, mate. But, that's the sort of thing that he did. I know he did a pact with the players to win it. He's been given the C before. If he wasn't the captain next year with Adam Reynolds gone and that type of thing, I think it would be a massive slap. And also it just goes to show, like, what's the captaincy leadership right now with this club? Because, what the hell could they be possibly doing if they weren't going to give Paddy Carrigan? Like, what's the long-term succession experience plan for this team if Paddy Carrigan isn't made the captain of the Broncos? If Mitch Barnett was just to come straight in and do that, I just think it would be absolutely ridiculous, mate. Not even mentioning that bringing in Dane Gagai is just a very interesting move. Is there not a young centre winger floating around the Queensland Cup in this Broncos system? Like, where's the development for this Broncos team? Even having to bring Jonah Pezzett in. Where is the development with this club? Is there a much deeper problem even than just Mike Maguire and the players they've got right now?
But we had the development. We had Kobe Black there, who we've been developing for years, and we decided to, instead of, let him go and sign Pezzett. Like, it just doesn't make sense. And with signing these older players, we don't need a rebuild right now, but with the players we're signing, we probably need a rebuild in like 2 years because these guys are like 32 plus. Like, Gagai's probably what, 35, 36 maybe? Like,
Turning 36, I think, yeah.
yeah, so we get what, 1, 2 years out of him, and he's a good player. Like, I'm happy for him to come, but I, yeah, it just doesn't seem like we're making the right decisions. And like, team selections all year, like as I said before, with Pakes, with Gajeski, with like, yeah, just a few decisions where I feel like we aren't picking our best team. Same thing happened last year too. Like, we didn't play. Madge didn't play Pierre Cora basically all year, and then at the end of the, like, when he went on the run, when we got desperate, he actually played our best players, and guess what? We won. So, yeah.
Yeah, mate. It's just shocking for me at the moment. Sam Walker. Chat about him and being in the system back in the day. Just think too, like there was a chance that Reece Walsh didn't come back. I mean, don't forget we let Reece Walsh go out of the development systems to New Zealand, and if it wasn't for being homesick and Warriors really knew what they had on their hands, he might have never came back. So it is going a lot deeper. But just on Ezra Mam though, the story is South are interested. If they were to let go of Mem for whatever reason, that would just set this club back even further because if you're already going to lose Adam Reynolds, Ben Hunt's only there for one more year. Really, he should be a utility type backup half at this point. He's not a starting player in the Broncos team or any NRL team at the moment. He's just past that period. If they were to let go of Azra Mam, that's just saying, like, we've totally had to rebuild. We're getting rid of all of our halves. We're starting again. We're hoping Jonah Pezzett works out. Maybe Duffy does build into his own. But that's an admission that they're just going to have to blow this team up, right? If they were to let him go, could they possibly let Ezra Mam go?
I hope not. I really hope not. Like, I know Mam gets a lot of hate, especially from opposition fans, but he's one of our better players. Like, he's in the grand final, I rate him as probably our second best player. He pulled off a couple of big shots for us to get the ball back. Um, yes, he misses a lot of tackles, but a lot of them is him coming out of the line, putting a shot on. And obviously this year, like, the players around him aren't helping. Like, Shibasaki at center, he was not helping defensively. Kajeski definitely not helping defensively. Like, he gets a bad rap, but like he's still one of our best players. And I'd probably rate him as like a top three, top five, 5'8" in the NRL. Like, it's hard to kind of, outside of Munster, who else is there? Like Cody Walker, yeah, but he's old at the end of his career. I wouldn't say Luai's better than Mam. Like, I'd probably say Mam's better than Luai, but yeah, like he's a top five player, and he's also got a good relationship with Reece Walsh. If we lose Mam, do we risk losing Reece Walsh as well?
Could you imagine after everything that's happened? I mean, that would just be the final absolute nail in the coffin. Like, that's just a blow up the team quite type situation. Just starting again. Like, the thing they need to do now, if anything, is just build this team around Reece Walsh, right? You got Adam Reynolds retiring. Do you think we'll actually see Reynolds again this year? I know he's dealing with injury. There was smoke and mirrors a little bit. Seems like he is actually injured. It'd be sad if we've seen the best of him because it really feels like he's gone a year too long.
He definitely has gone a year too long, but he will still go down as a Broncos legend from like when Kevy signed him to like where he brought the Broncos to. Like, he was the exact person that we needed, and like South's always going to regret that decision, I think. I hope he plays the last game, or at least comes off the bench for the last game, just to get that moment, just so his fans can celebrate him. But otherwise, I don't know if he really plays the rest of the year because like injuries and form, just everything. But yeah.
Be a sad way to go out, mate. Obviously, he took us to the grand final 2023 and then obviously gets the job done. That's what he was brought to do. He totally changed this team. Remember, he came in at that time when there was the wooden spoon and they were still rebuilding post Anthony Seibold, your favourite coach's era. And then he's came in and done all that fixing up. So, yeah, no matter what happens from here, he has absolutely done a job from Brisbane. It sounds like he will stay on as the halves coach, which would be incredible. There was the talk he would take up that Tigers deal at one point, but he stuck strong with the Broncos and gets the job done last year. Looking ahead to next year, you mentioned Billy Walters. He's been one of the underrated players of this team, instrumental to last year. You see immediately he's come back and had a big effect on this team. Corey Pakes has been very lucky to be the starting number 9 all year for the Broncos. I don't think that would have flown at any other club just about in the NRL this year. And Cameron Smith says he'll be back again to help out every week. So are we optimistic? This year is obviously a complete write-off. Surely they don't win the wooden spoon, but looking ahead to next year, they've obviously got some talent coming in, but there's no way you can fill a hole, obviously, left by Payne Haas. Are you optimistic that this is a team that gets back into the finals and becomes a contender again in 2027?
I think we can. We've still got the players around us, but something needs to change. Whether like it's like what I said before, whether it is Madge, whether it is Trent Barrett, like something has gone wrong. We definitely need a review. Just got to wait to see what happens. I don't think if everything stays the way it is now, we're going to have a good year next year. We can't just not do anything, bury our heads in the sand. Like something has to change. Like we've got a stacked team. We can't have the window close this quickly. Like, and it's already closing quick with Payne Haas going. Um, Renault obviously retiring, but that's just an age thing. Like, I don't want to lose more players. There's talk of Carrigan potentially going to PNG or something. Like, talk of Mam leaving. Like, that's all our core young group that's were together all at once potentially leaving. Like, that would be sad.
Well, let's just see, mate, because I think it is going to depend, right, on what happens at the end of the year. If they don't win a game, I think, and we've just been reading before, I think I was telling you just off camera just before, apparently the Broncos will unveil a 5-person panel to lead a complete club review and decide the fate of Michael Maguire. Now, the last time we heard this story, Aidan, it was Kevin Walters-esque, right, because he didn't survive this sort of review. Now, they said former Australian netball star Vicky Wilson will be part of the panel. Broncos chairman Carl Morris promises a no-holds-barred probe of the club. It's going to be the most robust review panel in the club's 38-year history. Sounds like a bunch of BS. Two
Yeah,
Broncos board members will participate in the review. I mean, obviously, they have to say this to appease fans who are very unhappy at the moment. Broncos legend Darren Lockyer will be kept abreast of the root and branch review that could determine if Maguire keeps his job. Pretty funny though too, right? A few weeks ago, the story was that they were looking to extend Michael Maguire, which I thought was insane to begin with. I don't know
yeah.
why clubs think that, right? To extend coaches that are struggling, it's like a new thing. I don't get it. It's supposed to sort of starve off the criticism, but geez, if they did it now, they would look incredibly stupid, right?
100%. Like when you actually look at things realistically, like on paper, yes, he got us a grand final. Even if you count this year, grand final in 2 years, amazing, amazing. But if you actually think about like how many games as a team have we looked good in the 2 years that Mike Maguire's been there? I would argue probably like as a whole team, 10 or less. And and most of them were in that grand final run where Walsh carried us. Like, I remember the one game last year, I think first game of the year when Roosters we smashed Roosters, and everyone was, "Okay, this is the Madge era. It's gonna be so good." Then there was a big lull period, like, it was on and off, like, we haven't really looked that good, and yes, we won the premiership, amazing, but I just don't want that to cost us our star players and our future. Like, like, what's it really worth? Like, yeah, yeah. I don't know
Tough
what else to say.
Tough times ahead, mate. I'll stay optimistic, but I think honestly, if the review comes back, the players are really as unhappy as the reports say they are. I think you just have to cut now. There's no point in keeping Maguire like they did with Anthony Seibold at Manly this year, and just hoping that things are going to miraculously turn around somehow with attitude and defense in 2027. It's an unwatchable team right now, and if the dressing room's not been lost, geez, I don't really know how else you can explain it. Can Michael Maguire not coach? Has he lost the dressing room? We've just discussed it can't be the squad on paper. Of course, they've had terrible injuries this year, and that explains some of it. But the Wars have had terrible injuries. Penrith have had injuries. Melbourne Storm have had terrible injuries. Okay, they're not doing too much better. But for us to be second last, like, yeah, I don't know. Something needs to be said. If the review is as bad as it could be, then he just needs to go. And I don't know who you bring in, but you bring him in right away and you at least salvage and give everyone some hope for 2027. Aidan, I just want to finish off, mate, with our good or bad for fans segment brought to us by our sponsor, National Freight Management. They handle everything from cartons through to pallets nationwide. Gerard and the team do an amazing job. You can find out more information on nationalfreightmanagement.com.au. Aidan, the news has broken. Kevin Walters will step down as Kangaroos coach at the end of the World Cup to take up a $2 million deal with St Helens. Good or bad for fans?
Oh, dude, you're gonna be excited. I thought he was coming to Broncos.
I know you'd
Um,
like that. I know you'd like that.
yeah, dude, yeah. Uh, I I don't know. I don't know either way, to be honest. Like, probably bad because 'cause we're losing a character out of a like a face that we see probably weekly on Fox League and stuff like that. Like, we're losing that character, so probably bad. Good for him to go, like, have a new challenge. Like, the Australian job is never really like a touted, like, coaching job. It's just we're expected to win no matter what. Like,
Hmm.
it's yeah. So it'd be cool for him to test himself again in St. Helens. Hopefully he does well. But I think bad for fans as we'll lose his personality on Fox League.
It is, yeah. I mean, I'd love to see him get a full-time coaching role, and it will be sad for the Kangaroos, but yeah, no more in Australia. I will have to tune into some Super League, mate. Set your alarms nice and early. Mate, Billy Slater, I took a week off news, Aiden. I was on holiday, didn't really read much. He steps down as Maroons coach. I couldn't quite believe it. I thought coming off a loss in the series, even though as Queenslanders, we probably felt we won that series, at least not officially. But for him not to give it another crack next year, the only thing I can think of is that he is going to be the Melbourne Storm coach. But Billy Slater stepping down as Queensland coach, good or bad for fans?
It's bad for Queensland fans, but it's good for rugby league fans because I do think he's going to go to Storm, and I think he will actually kill it. I do think that Bellamy will probably stay as like a head of football support type role, which will be good for Slater as well. But yeah, bad for Queensland fans, good for NRL fans.
Mate, yeah, no, I agree. I was shocked that he stepped down. I just thought that hunger of getting like a series, like the one that got away.
Yeah.
I just feel like I really thought he'd come back, but he wrestled with the decision. Apparently, he told people that day earlier in the day he loved being Maroons coach, but he wrestled with it and made the call in the end. Sam Walker has paused contract talks with the Roosters. Now we know the Roosters always get their way. There's talks they're eventually going to get Kalen Ponga, that they want Herbie Farmworth. They can't have them all. Sam Walker probably still will re-sign with the Roosters, you'd imagine, but at least him giving a hope to fans, especially potentially Broncos fans. Imagine getting Sam Walker back. Good or bad for fans?
If Broncos get him, good for fans. And if Broncos get him, I'll be like, okay, Matt, you could stay. It's fine. Everything's all
everything's
good.
forgiven.
Yes. Well, not everything, but most things. And yeah, I do think Broncos need someone like Sam Walker. So I think it's good for fans that he's going to open market. Yeah, even if we pay him 1.6 or something crazy, I think it's worth it. I have no faith in Pezzett as a starting half, to be honest. Like as a backup, but I think we're paying him like 600-700K, so just crazy signing. It's like Brody Koff 2.0, I think.
Brutal today, mate. Brutal. Not taking
Yeah,
any
sorry,
prisoners.
bro.
No, I love it. Bring it on. Get that traction, baby. And finally, mate, Toby Rudolph. Don't know if you saw this. He mooned a council officer who said he had to put his dogs on a leash. And if you're watching on YouTube, you'll have to see my dog needs to be on a leash, Woody. He's a star of the show today. Absolutely hating it, becoming a terror, eating pens all over the place and USB cords. But Toby Rudolph mooning a council officer, mate. Is that good or bad for fans?
That's good for fans. Bring mooning back, dude. Like it's just mooning. Like fucking get over it, eh? Like
Well, I think that the sweet thing is I was reading the story. He's apparently like he takes rescue dogs, and I think he goes over to Bali, I want to say, and like helps out with all the street dogs and that type of thing. And he has rescue dogs, and they came along. They weren't on a leash. Council officer tried to say put him back on, even threatened to take one of the dogs or something. And obviously not happy, being a passionate dog man, and got the old bun cheeks out. We've all done it before, Aiden. I've seen yours a few times, I think.
yeah,
But the
few
not
times.
denying it. These things do happen. Mate, thank you very much again, Aiden. That's all I had for this week's show. The Brisbane Broncos rant is complete. Hopefully they can beat the Raiders because, geez, if they don't, I think it is game over. Mate, good luck to our Broncos, and thanks for joining us again on Season Ticket Holders.
Good to be back, Dane. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks, guys. Woody says thank you as well. Thanks for listening. Give us all your support and love. We'd love a 5-star review on Apple, Spotify. Everything helps. As always, guys, take care. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
See you, Woody.